right, fuck it. We'll move on. All right, where we going next, man?
Social credit score, man.
All right, can you explain this?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Knicks game earlier, and I seen Marv Albert on the sideline. He had the front row seats, and he was there. I'm like, look at Marv, yo. Marv I'm pretty sure he could still do his job, but Marv probably doesn't want to do it anymore at this age. But he had that controversy when controversies were like a big deal.
Yeah,
he got caught with prostitutes and he was biting them.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, I guess the prostitute thing was an afterthought. It's the fact that he bit her.
Yeah.
So
he caught he caught a case, sexual assault case, and it was like he never went to jail. He lost his job, but his social credit score just kind of like fell off the map, and he became toxic. You know what I mean? To like employ or to have on like a broadcast, and it had me thinking about a social credit score. Like it is something that they have in China, and I feel like,
and it's already been done in China.
I think it's already implemented. You know what I mean? In China, and I think here we subconsciously operate with a social credit score.
Yeah.
I feel like infamy became what was a great thing in the past, but I feel like infamy now is reserved for a few people, and I feel like now, in order to at least be like a regular person, to operate and to ascend, you have to have a pretty clean social credit score. So
yeah, but in the United States of America, I feel like you got a whole nother side that you could let's jump into the clip.
Yeah,
let's jump into it. Maybe we might have to stop every now and again, but I think it's kind of I'm not sure how long it is again, but we'll jump right into it.
For each citizen is 1,000 points per person, in which the government gives so there is a constant equality amongst its citizens. The scores are part of a tiered rating system, which rates them based on their credit worthiness, going a step above the caste system of countries like India to give people a score determining the privileges they're allowed or punishments they must endure. For scores 1050 and over, ranked as AAA or AA, you get benefits like healthcare priority, free healthcare checks under the age of 64, and get to reap the rewards at the top of the social hierarchy. Now for scores between 960 and 1029 points, ranked as A+, A or A-, your kids get priority for certain schools, and the government can also give you the privilege of becoming a model citizen for the rest of society for publicity. School enrolment depends on model citizen status, and you will get preferential care and treated better in employment with preference over other candidates that apply for the same job. Scores between 850 and 9.
I'm already a little bit on board, yo. There's a benefit to not having smut on your name, yo. You got a weird case. Why is he around?
It depends on.
You got a weird case. If you got a weird, it kind of really doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what age that smut got on your name. If you got some smut on your name, you shouldn't be judged in the same way that someone that doesn't have that smut. Like we speak about it all the time. Example. No, well, a weird case, or like, I'm not gonna say like, well, fuck it. Let's just say like shoplifting, yo. If you got caught shoplifting in your late teens, why should it be like expunged from your like why? Like give me you're young and you're dumb, but for that person who never did that person who stayed on the right and narrow, why should they be judged next to you? They should have a leg up. You should give people a leg up for doing the right thing.
I think that happens.
Okay.
I think it happens. I think it happens organically.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you have to have a system in place for the cream to rise to the top.
The cream socially, the people who do the right things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because right now, religion is kind of in place for that. Religion is kind of like the moral scaffolding for most people. Like, in the eyes of God, you're going to do the right thing. For people who kind of just think that God is going to forgive them for everything that they do, they just do whatever they want to do. But if there's like if there's something like, I'm not going to get in this car with this person and do something. If I know this decision will affect the rest of my life, maybe I don't make bad or stupid and be young and dumb decisions when I'm younger.
Yeah, but all right, let's keep in mind that China is a communist in a communist state, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not really incentivized by money.
Mhm.
So they have to have another level of currency.
Right.
Because if I am, let's say, somebody that has a profession that would pay a lot of money in another country, I'm not really reaping those benefits. So I have to get the benefits somehow, some way, because we want to
make the money if you behave. Like, there's always money. Like, yeah, it's not completely by money, because the money is it's not a free enterprise, but there is money allocated to the people who do not behave.
It's not really money implemented, because it was crazy is that before you showed me this, I seen another video, and they were showing how if depending on who you are in society, they show like this high-rise building in China, right, where it's a nice ass building.
Yeah.
And if you, depending on what you do and where you are or whatever like that in society, they'll let you live in that building. Right. You live there rent free and all that other shit, whatever. But these are the perks that you probably get. Now, socially or economically, if it was free enterprise, this is probably where that person would be, right? And then also, people that probably have low social credit scores probably come from impoverished areas where they are more prone to crime and things like that would lower their score anyway. And
why?
Because if you don't eat, you might shoplift. If you can't afford to eat, you might steal something in order to eat. Or you might do something nefarious in order to get money to survive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a rigged situation. Now they're coming off as
maybe you might shoplift for Apple to eat or whatever, but I'm not gonna give you rigged. Shoot your way out your situation. Like, you could do the right thing and get your way out the situation.
Nah, not
just
really.
Just because you're poor doesn't mean you're automatically going to be a criminal.
That doesn't mean no. That's not what I'm saying. But there's probably no way.
Yeah.
No way a large portion of in a free enterprise, economically disadvantaged people will reach the highest social credit scores.
Not in one generation, but if the one generation sacrifices themselves for the next generation, yes, they can. It happens all the time. If that one generation knows, like, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm at, you know what I mean? Oh, well. If they get with somebody else, that'd be like, okay, we're going to partner up and we're going to push our offspring to the next level. We're just going to be farmers, working, and then do whatever thing we'll live decently comfortable for what we know. But this one, sending them up. We're gonna pay for our education. We're gonna get them up there. We're not gonna mess up. We're gonna keep our credit score good. We're not gonna go shoplift because we're poor. We're gonna put our head down and we're gonna work. You know what I mean? You're not gonna use that as an excuse to do crime. We're poor. Everybody's poor. People are poor.
Okay.
Not everybody's bad. They're not bad people. People don't like, all right, so
everybody that does crime is not a bad person.
Yes, they are.
Some people have to survive.
Okay.
Some people have to survive. And in their head, what they're doing is to survive.
Yeah.
Right? You might ask a person, the racist Klansman that goes to church every Sunday, that praises the same Jesus Christ that all the black people praise to, he feels like he's praising God in the way that he praises, and what he's doing is right in the eyes of God. It's all based on interpretation, right? But one thing that you got to understand about this thing, that what they said in the video, is that your social credit score is set up by where you are in life initially. So if you're low on the social scale, like if it was free enterprise and you're like a regular common worker, your credit score already starts low. So that's why I'm saying it's rigged.
You started from the beginning. Everybody starts at 1050. Everybody starts.
Why did they say that
everybody starts with a certain level?
Yes, but you lose. They said you lose points based on what job you do and things like that.
Nah, start again. Let me see. I didn't hear that part. I heard everybody starts at the same level. Same number.
All right.
The baseline for each citizen is 1,000 points per person, in which the government gives so there is a constant equality amongst its citizens. The scores are part of a tiered rating system, which rates them based on their creditworthiness, going a step above the caste system of countries like India to give people a score determining the privileges they're allowed or punishments they must endure. For scores 1050 and over, ranked as AAA or AA, you get benefits like healthcare priority.
They said it's on a caste rating system.
No, they said it's opposed to the caste rating system. India has a caste rating system. They said it's almost like a caste rating system.
Hold on.
They didn't say anything about
free healthcare checks under the age of 64, and get to reap the rewards at the top of the social hierarchy. Now for scores between 960 and 1029 points.
So how would somebody have a score lower than that?
What, 1,000?
Yeah.
By messing up.
How?
Stealing.
The baseline for each citizen is 1,000 points per person, in which the government gives so there is a constant equality amongst its citizens. The scores are part of a tiered rating system.
It's a tiered rating system.
Yeah.
So there's not one tier.
Okay.
If
tiers are done by the scores. The lower, the more you mess up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You're right.
Which rates them based on their creditworthiness, going a step above the caste system of countries like India to give people a score determining the privileges they're allowed or punishments they must endure.
So with India, you're born into a caste. Like I watched the documentary on the caste system. The lowest caste is the untouchables. You know, these are the people who clean the streets. These are the people who handle dead bodies. These are the people like you, and you're born into your caste. You could be married into a new caste with permission, but you're born into your caste, and most people stay into in their caste.
In their caste.
This is a lot more fairer. Everybody's born with a certain score. Now, I don't know when that score if they say when the scoring system starts. If you're in pre-K and you steal a pencil from another kid, if that drops you down like 20 points, I don't know. You know what I mean? But if you get suspended in school, if you pull the fire alarm in school, if you call in a bomb threat, if you do a school shooting, if you do anything like that. And then another thing is that we don't know if your score is affected by your children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your children is a problem child and you had 1,000 score, does your score go down because you can't control your kid?
Let's listen.
Or your dog bites somebody in the park. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For scores 1050 and over, ranked as AAA or AA, you get benefits like healthcare priority, free healthcare checks under the age of 64, and get to reap the rewards at the top of the social hierarchy. Now for scores between 960 and 1029 points, ranked as A+, A or A-, your kids get priority for certain schools, and the government can also give you the privilege of becoming a model citizen for the rest of society for publicity. School enrollment depends on model citizen status, and you will get preferential care and treated better in employment with preference over other candidates that apply for the same job. Scores between 850 and 959, ranked as B, are locked into that rank for 2 years with the obligation to have lectures on how to be a better citizen with visits of government officials and experts. You are essentially subjected to re-education. C rank, scores between 600 and 849, are locked into that rank for 3 years before you can move up rank. Government visits and inspections are routine, and you will be kept on a list where your information will be stored by government officials to keep tabs on you. You cannot receive welfare, cannot win awards or honours, and cannot run for political office. The lowest rank, D, for scores below 599, are seen as the lowest of the low. Regarded as untrustworthy by the government, you are locked into D rank for 5 years before you can rank up. You're publicly blacklisted and revoked of all titles and qualifications you've obtained. You're subject to lose your job, government funding, and travel ability. You are rewarded or penalised depending on the actions you commit that the state defines as good and bad. For example, talking negatively about the government or an official on social media will have you lose a lot of points. Any sort of political dissidence is penalised by the CCP, and they will be sure that you know your place when talking about them in such a way. The government will do whatever they can to get rid of you and silence any criticism of the status quo.
Well, they blew it at the end, but they had me at first.
You quash what I said though, right? But I guess it's all based on communism.
Yeah.
Because people, they just don't want anyone talking bad about the way they run their government.
Yeah. It's just another way to control people.
Yeah. I think we have it in the United States of America, but it's like more of a silence, but it's different than that. But it's sort of similar though. But like depending on who you talk about, if you talk about the wrong group of people, you can be chastised in the court of public opinion. You could your social credit score can drop drastically. Like if you have hate speech against the right group of people, your joint could tank. But the thing is, I guess that's the difference between living in a communist state and a quote unquote diplomatic state, is that even you can go up the good chain and go up and financially prosper, and you can go up the bad chain, that route too, and financially prosper also. Like you don't have to. There's like morally and ethically, like the United States doesn't really matter that much. You can still find a way.
As long as you produce, as long as you can make people money, they don't really care what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Infamous, not notoriety. I mean, if you're toxic, if you do something that's dishonorable and deemed and they, for now,
toxicity has value.
Well, for now, there are still things that are just deemed as toxic. Look at dude, Jared from Subways. What he did. He deemed as he's still in jail, but if he came home, no one can use him again. Yeah.
He's on. Somebody would use him, because in this day and age with social media, somebody be like, they'll interview him, they'll pay him to do interviews, documentaries, things like that.
Yeah.
So
because even Felice Johnson came home and they were interviewing him.
Yeah.
So
yeah.